Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Dominion stood before the holographic display, his four arms crossed in satisfaction. The crimson scales along his neck flared with pride as he reviewed the latest conquest reports. "Zirian 7 has fallen," reported his aide, Lieutenant Vextol. "The acid storms and methane geysers proved no match for our environmental suits. The native crystalline beings surrendered after witnessing our thermal bombardment capabilities." Kethvar's mandibles clicked in approval. The Zephyrian Dominion had built its reputation on one simple premise: they could conquer any world, no matter how hostile. Their species had evolved on a planet where survival meant adapting to crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, and predators that could melt steel with their breath. This harsh upbringing had forged them into the galaxy's most feared conquerors. "And the radiation-soaked moons of Proxima Centauri?" Kethvar inquired. "Pacified within a solar cycle. The natives' energy-based forms couldn't comprehend our quantum-shielded approach. They're now mining rare isotopes for our fleet." The Admiral's chest swelled with pride. In 3 centuries of expansion, the Dominion had never encountered a world they couldn't claim. Lava planets, frozen wastelands, worlds where the very air was poison, all had fallen before their superior technology and ruthless determination. "Sir," Vextol continued, "our scouts have identified another potential target, a blue-green world in the outer rim of the Orion Arm. The natives call it Earth." Kethvar's 6 eyes focused on the tactical display. The planet looked deceptively peaceful, covered in vast oceans and swirling white clouds. Sensor readings showed abundant life, moderate gravity, and what appeared to be a single dominant species that had barely achieved interstellar travel. "Preliminary assessment?" he asked. "Laughably primitive, sir. They've only recently developed fusion technology and have limited presence beyond their moon. Their weapons are crude projectile-based systems and primitive energy weapons. No quantum shielding, no dimensional warfare capabilities." The Admiral studied the data with growing amusement. These humans had soft, fragile bodies with no natural armor, no claws, no venomous sacs. They required a constant supply of oxygen and water, and their bodies failed if temperature varied by more than a few degrees. "How many ships for subjugation?" Kethvar asked. "Our tactical computer suggests a single destroyer would be sufficient, perhaps a cruiser to be safe." The Admiral's laughter was like grinding metal. "No, this world will serve a different purpose. We'll make an example of it. Deploy the 3rd Fleet, all 12 dreadnoughts, plus support vessels. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who would dare exist in our path of expansion." As the massive fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Kethvar couldn't shake a feeling of anticipation. Earth would be their greatest spectacle yet, a demonstration of Dominion power that would echo across the stars for millennia. He had no way of knowing that this blue-green world had earned its own reputation among those who truly understood the nature of survival. The Dominion fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, their arrival sending gravitational ripples through spacetime. Admiral Kethvar expected immediate panic from the primitive humans, followed by swift surrender. Instead, he received something entirely unexpected. "Unidentified vessels, this is Admiral Maria Rodriguez of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered human space without authorization. State your intentions immediately." The transmission came from a small fleet of human vessels that had somehow positioned themselves between the Dominion Armada and Earth. Kethvar's tactical officer quickly counted 37 ships, a mixture of military vessels and converted civilian craft. "Admiral," Vextol whispered, "they're not running." Indeed, the human fleet was holding position, their primitive weapons trained on the vastly superior Dominion forces. It was like watching insects challenge a hurricane. Kethvar activated the communication array. "I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Dominion. You will surrender immediately, or we will demonstrate why your species should fear us." The response was immediate and utterly shocking. "We don't surrender," came Admiral Rodriguez's voice. "We don't retreat." And we sure as hell don't fear you. You want our world? Come and take it." The transmission cut, and the human fleet began moving into a pack formation. Kethvar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. In 3 centuries of conquest, no species had ever responded to the Dominion's arrival with anything but terror. Some had bargained, some had attempted to hide, and some had launched desperate final attacks, but none had ever exhibited this calm, professional defiance. The humans attacked with coordination that surprised even the Dominion's tactical computers. "How do they know our technical specifications?" Vextal demanded. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the human fleet was gone, not destroyed, but withdrawn in perfect order, leaving behind only wreckage and a very disturbed Admiral Kethvar. "Casualties?" he asked. "Minimal, sir, but they damaged 17 of our ships. With primitive weapons?" For the first time in his military career, Kethvar felt a chill of uncertainty. The humans had lost the battle, but they had accomplished something no other species had ever managed. They had hurt the Dominion. "Set course for Earth," he ordered, "and prepare the full assault fleet. I have a feeling we're going to need it." As the Dominion fleet approached Earth, Admiral Kethvar expected to see a world in panic. Instead, his sensors detected something that made his blood run cold. Earth was preparing for war. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "the planet's surface is changing." The tactical display showed a world transforming itself into a fortress. Cities were disappearing underground, replaced by weapon emplacements and shield generators. The oceans themselves seemed to be shifting, revealing massive submarine installations. Most disturbing of all, the planet's moon was moving, repositioning itself as a strategic defense platform. "How are they moving their moon?" Kethvar demanded. "Unknown, sir. Our sensors detect massive gravitic engines, but the technology appears to be based on principles we don't understand." The main screen activated, showing a human female in military uniform. She had graying hair and eyes that seemed to hold centuries of experience, despite her species' short lifespan. "I am General Patricia Wilson, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces. I assume you're here to conquer our world, just like you've conquered others." Kethvar activated his translator. "We are the Zephyrian Dominion. We have conquered every Deathworld in the galaxy. Your primitive world will be no different." The human's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes seemed to shift. "Every Deathworld? That's interesting. Tell me, Admiral, what do you know about Earth's classification?" "It's a standard Class M world, suitable for carbon-based life. Nothing special." General Wilson's smile was sharp as a blade. "You might want to check your databases again. Earth isn't classified as a Class M world by the Galactic Survey. It's classified as a Class X Death World, one of only 12 in the known galaxy." Kethvar's blood froze. Class X worlds were considered impossibly hostile, planets where the very existence of complex life was deemed a statistical impossibility. "Let me educate you, Admiral. Our world has a magnetic field so strong it traps deadly radiation in belts around our planet. Our atmosphere is 21% oxygen, a concentration so high that it would cause explosive combustion in most environments. Our weather systems generate storms with winds over 300 kilometers per hour." The human's voice remained calm, almost conversational. "Our oceans contain creatures that can crush submarines. Our land masses are covered with predators that hunt in coordinated packs. Our planet's geological activity regularly destroys entire regions through volcanic eruptions and crustal shifts." General Wilson leaned forward. "But here's the thing that really makes Earth special, Admiral. We didn't just survive this death world, we thrived on it. And now we're going to show you what 3 billion years of evolution on a Class X world produces." The transmission cut, and alarms began blaring throughout the Dominion fleet as Earth's true defenses came online. What Admiral Kethvar had mistaken for a peaceful blue-green world suddenly revealed its true nature. Earth's oceans began to boil as massive installations rose from the depths, not just military bases, but entire cities that had been hidden beneath the waves. The planet's atmosphere itself seemed to come alive, crackling with energy as orbital defense platforms decloaked. "Sir," his sensor officer reported, voice shaking, "I'm detecting over 3,000 major weapon installations across the planet's surface, and that's just what we can see." The tactical display showed a world that was essentially one massive fortress disguised as a garden. Every mountain range concealed missile silos, every forest hid defensive positions, every city was built around a military complex. "How did they hide all this?" Kethvar demanded. "The same way they've hidden everything else," came a new voice. The main screen activated, showing a human male in civilian clothes. He looked unremarkable, average height, brown hair, wearing what appeared to be a simple work uniform. "I'm Dr. Marcus Webb, xenobiologist. I've been studying your species for the past 50 years. "That's impossible," Vextol protested. "We've never made contact with humans before." Dr. Webb smiled. "You've never made contact with humans openly. But you've been conquering worlds for 3 centuries, Admiral. Did you really think nobody was watching?" The screen split, showing images of Dominion forces on dozens of different worlds. But in each image, barely visible in the background, were signs of human presence. A figure in environmental gear observing from a distance. A small probe hidden among the rocks. Sensors disguised as local flora. "We've been studying you, learning from you, preparing for you," Webb continued. "Every world you conquered taught us something about your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses." "We have no weaknesses," Kethvar snarled. "Everyone has weaknesses. For instance, your species evolved on a high-gravity world with a dense atmosphere. Your technology is built around those assumptions. Your shields are designed to deflect energy weapons and high-velocity projectiles." As if summoned by his words, Earth's defenses began to demonstrate exactly what he meant. The first wave of attacks came not from weapons, but from the planet itself. Massive electromagnetic pulses erupted from the magnetic poles, playing havoc with Dominion electronics. Solar radiation, focused and redirected by orbital mirrors, began heating the hulls of the fleet's ships. "What kind of weapons are these?" Kethvar demanded. "They're not weapons," Webb replied calmly. "They're just natural phenomena we've learned to direct. You see, when you live on a Deathworld, you don't just build weapons to fight your enemies. You learn to turn your entire environment into a weapon." Admiral Kethvar thought he understood warfare. 3 centuries of conquest had taught him that superior technology and ruthless determination could overcome any defense. He was about to learn that humans had a different definition of both technology and ruthlessness. The change began in Earth's atmosphere. What had appeared to be normal weather patterns suddenly revealed their true nature as weapon systems. Hurricane-force winds, generated by massive atmospheric processors, began creating corridors of turbulence that sent Dominion fighters tumbling out of control. Lightning storms, artificially enhanced and directed, struck with the precision of guided missiles. "Sir," his meteorologist reported, "they're weaponizing their weather. The entire planet's atmospheric system has been converted into a defensive network." But that was just the beginning. Earth's oceans began to respond. Massive tsunamis, generated by underwater installations, created walls of water that rose into the atmosphere itself. The water didn't fall back down, it crystallized, creating floating ice barriers that absorbed and redirected energy weapons. "They're using water as armor," Vextol said in disbelief. "Not just water," corrected Dr. Webb, who had reappeared on their screens. "We're using everything. Every storm, every ocean current, every magnetic field line. This is what you get when you force a Deathworld species to defend their home." The demonstration continued with increasing sophistication. Volcanic activity, triggered by precisely placed charges, began launching molten rock into space. The projectiles followed calculated trajectories, intercepting Dominion ships with devastating accuracy. Solar flares, somehow induced and directed, sent waves of radiation that overwhelmed the fleet's shielding. "This is madness," Kethvar muttered. "They're using their entire planet as a weapon." "Not just our planet," Webb replied. "Our entire solar system." Jupiter's moons were changing orbit, their trajectories calculated to create gravitational slingshots that would send massive projectiles toward the fleet. Saturn's rings were somehow reorganizing themselves into a massive focusing array. "How?" Kethvar demanded. "How is any of this possible?" "Because we've had 3 billion years to learn," came a new voice. This time the speaker was a human child, perhaps 10 years old. "Hi, I'm Katie. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm running the asteroid belt redirections." The admiral stared at the screen. A child was controlling weapon systems that could destroy entire fleets? "Don't look so surprised," Katie continued cheerfully. "We learned this stuff in school. Basic planetary defense is part of our curriculum." "You're teaching children to wage war?" Vextal asked in horror. "We're teaching them to survive," Katie replied. "Same thing we've been doing for millions of years." The realization hit Admiral Kethvar like a physical blow. The humans hadn't been fighting to survive. They had been fighting to capture. Every tactic, every maneuver, every seemingly desperate defense had been designed to prevent the Dominion fleet from escaping. "Sir," his navigation officer reported, panic clear in his voice, "we can't jump to hyperspace. They've created some kind of gravitational interference pattern." "The asteroid belt," Vextal whispered. "They've been moving asteroids into position around us. We're trapped in a gravity well." Dr. Webb appeared on screen again, his expression no longer friendly. "You wanted to study a Deathworld species, Admiral. Now you're getting a complete education." The tactical display showed the truth of their situation. The Dominion fleet was surrounded by a carefully constructed maze of gravitational anomalies, electromagnetic fields, and physical barriers. Every route of escape had been quietly sealed while they fought. "This is impossible," Kethvar said. "No species plans battles on this scale." "Most species don't have to," Webb replied. "Most species evolve on worlds where cooperation is optional. On Earth, cooperation is survival. We've been planning coordinated actions on this scale since we were hunting megafauna with sharpened sticks. Human vessels began appearing throughout the system. Not just military ships, but civilian craft, cargo haulers, even passenger liners. All armed, all coordinated, all moving with the precision of a single organism." "How many ships do you have?" Kethvar demanded. "All of them," came the reply from General Wilson. "Every human vessel in the system. When Earth is threatened, we don't have civilians and military, we just have humans." New contacts began appearing on the Dominion sensors. Human ships were dropping out of hyperspace throughout the sector, returning from colonies, trading missions, and exploration voyages. They had been recalled not by official orders, but by something far more primitive and effective. "Species-wide communication," Webb explained. "When a Deathworld species faces extinction, Admiral, every member of that species knows it. We don't need to send messages, we can feel it." The encirclement was complete. The Dominion fleet found itself facing not just Earth's defenses, but the entire human diaspora. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender demands from 17 different human commanders." A new voice interrupted, an elderly human with white hair and kind eyes, but something about his presence made the Admiral's scales crawl. "I'm Professor William Chen, xenopsychologist. Surrender is not an option, Admiral. You see, you've based your entire civilization on conquest. But you're not superior. You're just bullies who never met anyone who could fight back. And now that you have, your entire civilization is going to collapse." The tactical display showed the broader galaxy. Red dots marking Dominion worlds were turning blue at an alarming rate. "While you've been focused on conquering Earth, we've been liberating your empire," Chen continued.
Every world you've conquered has been secretly visited by human researchers. We've been preparing them for liberation. Kethvar stared at his crumbling empire and felt absolute, paralyzing fear. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. Professor Chen's smile was gentle and terrifying. "We want to teach you what it means to be prey."
Admiral Kethvar stood in what had once been his flagship's command center, now stripped of weapons and converted into a research facility. Human technicians worked alongside Zephyrian engineers, their former enemies now partners in an unexpected collaboration. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Sol, and the galaxy had been transformed. Dr. Webb approached the Admiral, carrying a datapad filled with reports. "The liberation of Zirion 7 is complete. The crystalline beings are requesting membership in the Terran Federation." Kethvar's mandibles clicked in what had once been arrogance but was now something closer to resigned acceptance. Another world that prefers human protection to Dominion rule. "Can you blame them?" Webb asked. "We offered them partnership instead of subjugation, technology sharing instead of resource extraction, self-determination instead of slavery." The transformation had been swift and total. The Dominion's conquest-based economy had collapsed within weeks of the Sol engagement. Without the ability to extract resources from conquered worlds, their entire military-industrial complex had simply ceased to function. More importantly, their enslaved populations had risen in coordinated rebellion, guided by human advisors who had been preparing them for decades. "I still don't understand how you coordinated it all," Kethvar admitted. "It was impossible," Webb agreed, "for any normal species. But we're not normal, Admiral. We're the product of 3 billion years of evolution on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We learned to plan for disasters that wouldn't happen for centuries. We learned to think in geological time." Through the observation window, Kethvar could see the construction of humanity's newest project, a massive space station that would serve as the galaxy's new center for interspecies cooperation. Representatives from hundreds of worlds worked together, their combined efforts creating something that surpassed anything the Dominion had ever built. "You're rebuilding the galaxy," he observed. "We're letting the galaxy rebuild itself," Webb corrected. "We're just providing the tools and the protection. Every species has something to contribute, Admiral. The Dominion's mistake was thinking that contribution had to be forced." General Wilson joined them, her expression showing the satisfaction of a job well done. "The last of the Dominion fortress worlds have requested Federation membership. Even your home world, Admiral, they voted to join us." The General activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. What had once been a map dominated by Dominion red was now a mosaic of colors representing hundreds of independent worlds united under the Terran Federation's protective umbrella. "We're calling it the Galactic Cooperation Council," she explained. "Every world gets a voice. Every species gets representation. And if someone threatens this—" "Cooperation?" Kethvar asked. Wilson's smile was sharp. "Then they discover what a Deathworld species looks like when it's really angry." The age of conquest was over. The age of cooperation had begun.